Okay, let's start over. My name is Carlton Cartwright. I'm the Executive Director for the Veterans Memorial and Multicultural Histories Incorporated. And today's date is November the 16th, 2021. We're at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center here in West Palm Beach. And sir, what is your name?
My name is Paul J. Bosco Jr.
Okay, Paul, and the only other person that's attending this this interview is his wife,
Marina Perez.
Marina Perez. Excellent. Okay, and what branch of the service were you in, sir?
I was in the United States Navy for 20 years.
Okay, wow. And what was your rank when you separated?
E6,
Okay,
Petty Officer First Class.
right. Okay. And where were you at the moment that you went into service?
I was, well, actually I went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to get indoctrinated, and then I was sent to Great Lakes, Illinois for boot camp.
Okay. What were you doing before you went into service?
A lot of things. I worked at a bowling alley fixing machines. I worked for a carnival and was the lot foreman for a big carnival in Pennsylvania. I worked at it used to be SS Kresge, which is now Kmart, and went to school.
And where was that again? In Pittsburgh?
Well, it's actually in Rochester, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. All right. How old were you when you went into service?
20 years old.
And what year was that?
That was in 1970.
Okay. Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Why did you join the Navy?
Well, I went in and talked to the Army. They were blowing smoke up me, so I decided to, I said, well, let me check the Marines. The Marines were even worse. And the Navy guy was just standing there, and he said, "You really want a job?" He says, "Come here." He's, and I went in there. I started talking to him, and he was just straight up front. He didn't blow smoke up my, what.
Yeah.
And he was just right there.
Okay. Okay. So that was a good beginning. And where did you say you went to basic training?
Great Lakes, Illinois.
How long was basic training?
Well, I was in a holding company because of my teeth. So that gave me like 3 months of just doing little duties around the base while I was getting my teeth fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into special units, and that was in, geez, I can't remember the date or the month. But the whole thing came to about 8 months.
Okay. Okay, so that was 32 weeks.
Yeah. It was
Did that include your MOS?
No.
No.
No. That was just basic training.
Well, what was basic training like for 32 weeks?
Well, the first 3, I would go down to the galley, and they would just, give me some stupid thing to do, and then, just pulling trays around, pushing stuff around. And then I went to the laundry, and all I did was pull bags into the people who were in there doing laundry, and see, what else did I do? Did a lot of just running, for different officers and stuff, taking paperwork different places, and until that 3 months was up. And then I went into after that, I sing. Okay, so they put me in a special unit, and it was for the rifle squad and a marching unit, and then for the band and the choir.
Oh, okay.
And I was in the choir.
Okay, so what did we just account for? 12 weeks?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so you still have 20 left.
Oh, 20 weeks?
Yeah, you said
Well,
that.
there was the latter part of it was for the whole thing.
Okay.
We drilled. We did PT. You had to pass your swimming, and there was exams you had to do.
Right.
And we did all that during that whole time frame, so it was all added in.
How was the food?
Food was Navy food.
Okay. Is that good or bad?
Fair.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Fair to middle, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
it filled the hole.
You got through it, huh?
Yes.
Okay, good. Anybody, were you or was anybody in your unit injured during basic training?
We only had one guy, and it was just an accident. We were on the third deck, and he was going down the stairs and tripped, and he broke his arm. He was held back one section, one unit behind us. So.
Okay, all right, but nothing terminal.
No, nothing in boot camp. No.
Gotcha. Okay, so how were your instructors?
We only had, well, all of them were really good.
Okay.
We had our drill sergeant. He was actually a senior chief, and he was really a good individual. I can't think of his name. It's been so long.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so after the 32 weeks, before you went to your next duty station, did you take a break and go home, or did you just go straight to the, okay.
Yeah, I took a break, went home for Christmas and the holidays, and then went to my first duty station, which was in...
Where was that?
That was in, it's right next to Pensacola, a quarry field up in northern Florida.
And how long were you there?
I was there about 8 months, I think.
What was your assignment while you were there?
It was just school. I was doing, the class was communications technician, CT, and I didn't like it. I mean, it was driving me crazy. And I requested that I didn't want to do it, and they said, well, the only way you're going to do it is we send you to the fleet. And I said, okay, do it. And they did. They sent me to a ship.
Okay.
And it was on the other side of Florida, over in Jacksonville.
Right. Okay.
So I went to NAS Jax and was there for like a week, and then because the ship was out, and it was the USS Saratoga, and they moved me back. When it came in, I went aboard and checked in.
Okay, and how long were you on that ship?
Say that again, I didn't understand.
How long were you on that ship?
Oh, on the ship?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was on the ship for 2.5 years.
Wow. And what were your duties while you were on there?
When I first got there, I was a fleet striker. So
what is that?
Okay, a fleet striker is you're not assigned to anything. You go. What they do is they say, okay, your scores when you first came in allow you to go to these different jobs. So that what they do is when you get on the ship, they'll go. I was good for aviation, and they said, well, you can go up on the flight deck. Well, it was outside. I didn't like it so much. So they said, well, we can put you in supply because you work for Kmart. He says, and because you have those talents, he says, well, let's put you in ship stores. So I ended up with the S3 division, which was the actual ship store, and where you could go down and buy your uniforms, do special orders and all that. And I was the special order individual after that.
Okay.
And then I was there for a little while, and I had a guy come down from it's called OA division, which is the weather office. He came down there and he asked me, he says, hey, he says, I want you to, he says, I think you're better off as an Airedale and as an orographer, vice what do you call it, a supply clerk. So I said, well, I got to see what it's like. And I had a top secret clearance, so I was able to go into the weather office up there.
Right.
So that's what happened. I went up there and I started as a striker there, and I ended up getting into the weather office up there, over LA. And I was an observer at that time. So. Okay.
Where'd you travel over that 2.5 year period?
Oh wow. Well, all throughout the Mediterranean. That was, I had two cruises in the Mediterranean, one in the North Atlantic. The North Atlantic trip was probably the first one, and that was a really hairy deal because there was a North Atlantic storm. It ripped off the catwalks on the ship. You'd be walking down in the ship inside. And the waves would hit, and it literally stopped that ship right in the water.
Wow.
And you would go flying down the passageways. And then you had, then you'd go on a little, get back out, go walking, and all of a sudden, boom, it hit again. So I mean, it was really scary, and it was pitching. This is an aircraft carrier, so and if it could do that to an aircraft carrier, I felt bad for the guys in the tin cans following us.
Right. Tin cans?
Well, our escorts. Okay, escort ships.
Okay. What was the, how large were they? Or
you could put 2 of them on the flight deck of the carrier.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. Any injuries? Any casualties?
On that ship,
Yeah.
the only thing we ever had was we lost a person over the side.
Wow.
Okay, and we had let's see, casualties, bumps and bruises, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But you lost someone? Somebody perished?
Yeah, somebody was out where they weren't supposed to be.
Right.
And wave hit them and off they went.
That was it.
Yeah, and there's no finding them in that kind of condition.
Right. I understand. Okay, so besides that, anything else memorable about that 2.5 years? You got to travel.
Yeah,
And
memorable. I got one good one.
okay.
We were in Athens.
Okay.
Okay, and we were getting ready to sail to Naples. So we were on ship, ready to go, and as we pulled out, we were moving, out into the Mediterranean, probably about 20 miles out, maybe 30.
Mm-hmm.
And on the side of the ship, they have these great big induction, water intake places, okay, on the ship, and that's where it goes in and reprocesses the water for drinking. Well, that seal broke, and we were taking on water and sinking, so we had to go back to Athens.
Wow.
And when we got back, when we had to take all the aircraft off, we had to take anything we could do to lighten the ship, and then they kind of took the ship and turned it toward the side so that area was close to coming out of the water, so it wouldn't take on so much water.
Right.
And then when they came into Athens, they got permission to bring it in as close as they could, and when they did, they just plowed right in, and it was sitting on the bottom of the bay there in Athens.
Right.
So, and then we stayed there for like 3 months until they got it fixed.
Okay. Okay.
That was a fun time because we had 3 months of R&R.
Exactly. Besides Greece, what other countries did you visit while you were in the European theater? You were in the Mediterranean, right?
Yeah. Well, we went. First, you come over, you got to row to Spain. Then you go around and into the through the Gibraltar Straits. You see Spain. We pulled into Spain. France. Italy, Greece. Back on out. There's other countries, the little islands that are over there. We hit all those: Sicily and Malta and Palma de Mallorca. There's all kind of islands out there. We hit a lot of those. Then we we hit Morocco, and then back out, and then home. But there's a lot of times you go into different places in those countries.
Right. Okay. Next duty station.
Next duty station, you see, from there, the ship was going to Vietnam, okay?
Okay.
I was all packed and ready to go. And I was on board the ship and, said my goodbyes to my wife at that time. And I had all my stuff on board and went up to the weather office, and all of a sudden I got a call from the personnel to come down there. So I get down there, they hand me orders. And my next set of orders were Lakehurst, New Jersey. And they basically, I had like probably about half an hour to get all my stuff together and back off the ship because they were getting ready to sail. So, and then they went to Lakehurst.
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And how long were you stationed there?
I was stationed there for, I would say, a good 8 months. Because when I first got there, I had to go through the basic meteorological school and went through all that. And just as I was getting ready to leave, they put me through oceanography. So I had to go through the meteorological school with atmospheric physics and all that kind of stuff. Then I went to the oceanography with all the topographies and everything else that it entailed. So,
let's just go back to, excuse me, Europe for a moment.
okay.
How did you get along with the? I mean, you visited? I think it sounds like more than several countries. How were the people on the economy in each one of those countries? Did you interact with civilians?
Oh yes, yes. So you know, we were at that time. You were told not to wear uniforms and just go on out and mingle.
Right.
And we did. I mean, I had a great time when I was over there. I always have.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So now you're in New Jersey.
Okay.
And how long did you say you were there?
About 8 months.
8 months. And what was that like?
That was a grind because you know, there was so much you had to learn in such a short period of time.
So you became an oceanographer?
Well, meteorologist and an oceanographer.
Wow. So what did that entail?
Well, basically just pretty much like what you see on
The
TV.
weather?
Kind of all the weather.
Okay.
All the weather. You had to take and learn all the different levels of the clouds and the different types of clouds, and you had to know what caused them to develop, what's moving in, what isn't, the fronts, cold fronts, warm fronts.
Sounds like lots of science.
Lots of science.
Okay.
Lots and lots of science.
Right. Okay. While you were there, did you get to travel around the New England states, or would you know?
No, I just didn't have. You didn't have time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So just job every day.
Yeah. It was a grind.
Right. You did express that. Okay. How was the food so far?
Food at Lakehurst was really good.
Was it?
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
Yeah, they had, you know, it was just good food.
Okay.
It had good variety of good stuff, and it tasted very well.
Gotcha. So, what was the next duty station?
See, after Lakehurst was Charleston, South
There
Carolina.
weren't any casualties in Lakehurst,
No.
were there? Okay, good.
No. I went to Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh.
And that's Naval Air Station, or no, Naval Station, Charleston.
Uh-huh.
At the time, and at that time, they were going to put helicopters, a helicopter base there that did sound profiles and stuff like that off the coast, you know, because of submarines, that kind of thing. And my job was to make sure that they were briefed. You know, they had the weather right, and their briefings were ready to good to go, and all the weather or the oceanography patterns that they needed to know to do their work. And what ended up happening, they didn't come. They cut the program, they cut everything, and we don't know why, but they did. But the office was there when I stayed there for the full 4 years, you know, working at the weather office.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so you were there for 4 years?
Yes.
Okay, and so what did you do on R&R over the 4-year period?
We fished. Okay, we did lots of fishing.
Okay.
And what we do is
Is that freshwater or ocean?
brackish. Yeah, brackish water. It's like ocean and freshwater mix right there.
What kind of fish did you catch?
Just about anything you could think of. But one thing I used to do is to do shrimp, and I used to catch shrimps and crabs and all that, and then we'd end up getting like coolers for a bunch of us to come down because we were out in what's called Pier Yankee, and it was, you know, we had a long walk out there, but it was a good place to go fishing, and it was off limits to civilians, so we had, you know, carte blanche right there, and we used to catch coolers full of, you know, large shrimp.
Really?
Yeah. And
Nice.
Then we'd have big parties.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. Any casualties?
No. Yeah, the shrimp.
Just right, exactly. Exactly. Okay. Okay. So after that 4 years, where was the next duty station?
Let's see, Charleston. I went to Diego Garcia, and that's in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Ah. Well,
Yeah. At the time, it was under development. There's one runway,
Mhm.
and I ran the upper air weather shack, for the atmospheric physics portion of it.
Right.
And and also I was kind of like what do you call it? When people come in from flights, you go through their baggage to make sure that they ain't bringing any paraphernalia. I can't remember what you call that, but anyway, that's what I was doing to make sure that they did. I checked it first, so that if they were bringing anything in, because it was British Indian Ocean territory.
Right.
If the Brits found it, they were in prison, period. Okay, and it was like a 10-year stint or more. If we found it, okay, it was, we took the stuff, destroyed it, and sent them back and they were BCD'd out of the military.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty tough.
Right, exactly. So that was your job? What was your job there?
I was in charge of the upper air shack. You see the guys.
So you're still in weather. You do
always weather.
Meteorologist.
Yes.
Meteorology.
I also took oceanography. There was a class that the weather officer had that he did. He was also an oceanographer. What do you call it? He had a degree in oceanography.
Okay.
So he taught oceanography, and I took these courses and got a little higher in that area.
Okay. Did you ever do any underwater photography?
No, not under.
Did you ever use those skills?
Yeah, I used them. In some of the things that I did, it was just personal though.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, but not for work.
not for work.
So what were the personal things?
That we did there. It was
Well-
very.
I'm saying with the oceanography.
Oh, I just took pictures of whatever I could see.
Okay.
We had at the time they had a huge hammerhead shark. Okay, and we used to call him Hector, and he was enormous. He was probably 20 feet at least.
Where did he live?
He lived right there in the bay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're right in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Right.
And that's a coral atoll, and you just go out a mile, and then it just drops off into infinity out there.
Wow.
So you could go out, that water, when I was there, it was pristine. You could look, and you look down, and it was be like a mile down. You could see all these fish swimming around. I mean, it was absolutely the best you could see. And you could go out there and take a pin, and this is no lie, take a pin, put a beer cap, a pull tab on it,
Yeah.
and throw it over the side, and those suckers would hit that. And you could catch them that way. It's
Really?
that simple, yeah. There were so many, because they had no idea, the fish out there isn't like it over here. They've seen all that and done all that,
Okay.
Over there, shiny is good to them.
So they go for it.
Oh yeah. We used to get lots of snapper, and that's basically what we were looking for. And every once in a while, shark here and there, but
No grouper?
no. You get a grouper out there, you're going to get a big one.
I hear ya.
And you'll never get it out of the water.
Really? Okay. All right. So any casualties during that tour?
One.
What happened?
The Seabees were putting up concrete, pilings for lighting and that.
Uh-huh.
And one of the pilings broke as they were bringing it up.
Okay.
And it started coming down.
Right.
While one of the guys, instead of running to the left or the right of it, he ran with it, and then it came down and pulped him.
Okay.
And he was gone as soon as it hit him. And that was the worst I've seen.
Wow. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So where did you go after that?
After Diego Garcia, I
Uh-huh.
went to NAS Whiting Field in Florida, which is right outside of Pensacola,
Uh-huh.
in Milton, Florida. And I was stationed there for 4 years. And while I was there, I went from observer to forecaster. Okay, and then I used to do my own charts and build up the forecast, write the forecast, and brief the pilots as they came in, for their weather portion. It was a training command, and there were certain things they had to do, and we had to teach them and help them during that time frame.
And where were you now?
It was NAS Whiting Field in Pensacola.
Okay.
Or no,
Okay.
in northwestern Florida.
Right. Exactly. You said 4 years, right?
Yes, 4 years there.
Any casualties?
No.
Did you travel around the area?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I lived all over that place.
Where'd you go?
Oh, well, first of all, you got NES Pensacola, which is where the naval aviation started, basically.
Right.
And they had a museum, and I used to help down there and do things there, and just, you know, and when we had things at the base, I would volunteer for that kind of stuff too.
Things, we mean events?
Events. They had different events. They would have flybys, and they'd have, what do you call it, air shows.
What's a flyby?
They would take and they would, well, what it was is the air show, and then they would take an aircraft, a couple aircrafts and come to roll over the top of the buildings and stuff, and then shoot up into the sky. It was the Blue Angels.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And you sounds like you enjoyed that.
Oh, I did.
Okay. All right, so where else did you get to travel around the Pensacola area?
Oh, shoot. I went to Mardi Gras over in Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
Went to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. That's where the oceanographer of the Navy was. And I used to go over there. There's a big command center there. And I used to work there a little bit just to see what it was like. We went to Mobile, Alabama. They had a couple exhibits there down on the water. I can't think of the name of the ships. Well, they had what do you call it, a submarine, and they had a regular ship there. And they had tours of that. And see, geez, there was just so much there. It's you know, there's so much history there. It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, nice. So, where did we go after that?
After that, I went to Suda Bay, Crete, Greece. It was an isolated tour for 1 year.
Okay. All right. And what was the job there?
I was in charge of the weather office at the Suda Bay base.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You in charge of what?
I was a petty officer in charge of the weather office.
Ah, okay. All right. And how did that tour go?
That tour went very well. Like I said, I was in charge of the weather office. When I first got there, there was nothing working, and the guys were just sitting around doing observations. And then they would, you know, you have a big chart you have to fill out with the observations, but they'd take them and not be able to transmit them because the teletypes were down, the radios were broke. What we call a skylight that measures the base of the clouds, and all the equipment seemed to have a problem. And they sent me there, and the first thing I started doing was repairing all the equipment to get everything back up online.
Right.
Yeah, so and that's what I did. I got everything going again.
How many people were you in charge of?
There was 16 at one time.
Okay. All right. What do you call that? What do you call it? A flight? A unit? What do you call that?
Just the detachment.
Detachment?
Yeah, we were detached. We were supposedly detached out of Naples,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, it was us.
Got it. You were it.
We were it.
Right. And how long were you there?
Oh,
Well, you getting ready to say something?
yeah. It's actually we were right at the edge of it, the NATO base.
Oh.
Okay, that's where the aircraft came in and out, and you know, and we had ships off the outside, and or aircraft carriers, and they would bring their people into into Suda Bay to get on the other aircraft to go to Naples and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, and that's why we were there.
Okay. All right. Nice. Any casualties?
No.
Nobody got hurt, thank God?
Yeah, everybody was good.
Right.
The base also had the minemen for mine warfare.
The what?
The minemen.
Minemen?
Yeah, mines.
For mines?
For mines, yeah.
Wow.
It was a rating, and
It was what?
It's a rating in the Navy, and they had
Uh-huh.
they were all in charge. I mean, it was a big place for that at one time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know if it is now or not. It's been so many years. Yeah,
That's
that was like in '86.
placing mines in the ocean or land?
Ocean.
Uh-huh.
Ocean.
Okay. Any casualties in that unit?
No.
Thank God. Okay.
Yeah.
Where do we go next?
Back to NES Pensacola, Naval
Okay.
Air Station Pensacola.
Love Florida, huh?
I did. I got there.
How long this time?
That time, I was there for about a year.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, 4 years total. But I was there for a year. They sent me off to get my credentials to being a forecaster, and
Uh-huh.
they sent me to Chanute, Illinois,
Right.
and to the Air Force Base.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a culture shock. And it was, because, you know, I was stationed at a really small det, come back to the United States. I had a real nice house that I was living in there. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool, you know, my family. And then they said, well, you're gonna have to go for 6 months to Chanute. And when I got up there, you know, just to let you know how it works is this: I went in. I was two of us in a room.
Right.
And and I had gotten up in the morning. I was making my bed.
Yeah.
Okay. And the guy looked at me. He said, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm making." Actually, we call it a rack. I said, "I'm making my rack." He says, "What?" He says, "The maids come and do that." I said, "What?" I thought the guy was pulling my leg.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he was dead serious.
He was dead serious.
Yeah.
And I go, "Get out of here." So I just made it.
Yeah.
Made it halfway, right?
Right.
I figured I could take a butt chewing, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, because these guys playing with me.
Right.
So I walk out.
Then you got reprimanded by the maid.
Yeah. Exactly. I come in and the lady goes, she looks at me, she says, "You don't have to do this. I have to take all these sheets off." I went, "Really?"
Right. Change the sheets every day?
Yeah.
Jeez.
They cleaned that place up.
Wow.
I mean, it was immaculate. And for me, you know, I went down to go eat, and you know, because I missed that day, you know, the day before I checked in.
Right.
So I went down to get breakfast, and I'm looking around, and these guys are, you know, I'm looking for the tray, you know, because I was on ship. You know, you have a tray with the little pieces, parts in it, and they just slop stuff in it.
Right.
I'm looking, and the guys, "Well, how would you like your eggs?
Right.
Would you like?" I was like, "What?"
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're walking along, and you're in a fine restaurant. And I was like, wow, I need to get to the Air Force.
Sorry. We're full up.
Yeah, you're full. Yeah, but I went through that school, got through it, and it was what was really weird. It was I got totally done with the course, okay, and we were in the last, you know, the project room. The last thing you do, you have to do. They'll call you up, and they'll say, this is what's happening. Give us a brief, okay. Well, mine was a SAR mission in the Great Lakes.
Okay.
And I pulled my charts. I ran down to where they told me to go. I set it all up, and the lights were knocked down. Okay, and then two people came in, and they sat down there, and they were asking me questions. Okay.
Right.
And I was like, you know, I recognized the voices. Okay, but I didn't know. I couldn't put a face to the voice, you know, because it was dark. And they were, you know, they grilled me really, really hard. And I was going, you know, giving them every time they would say something, I'd come right back with it with not a problem, because I've been briefing before that for a long time.
Right.
So, and they were, you know, and they go, and all of a sudden I see this smoke come out of a cigar, okay, and I hear, "Well, Mr. Bosco, I think you're doing pretty good." And I hear, you know, and I'm thinking, that sounds like Commander Schatzel from Jacksonville.
Oh,
you know?
right.
I said, yeah, but he made Admiral. And I'm thinking to myself, nah, that can't be him. What the heck? That can't be him.
Okay.
And then I hear this other voice, and he says, "I think you're doing all right." He says, "You've definitely passed." Okay.
Okay.
So I said, okay, and then the lights came up. Well, the first one was the commander on my ship, the Saratoga, the day before I checked in.
Right.
So I went down to get breakfast, and I'm looking around, and these guys are, you know, I'm looking for the tray, you know, because I was on ship. You know, you have a tray with the little pieces, parts in it, and they just slop stuff in it.
Right.
I'm looking, and the guys, "Well, how would you like your eggs?
Right.
Would you like?" I was like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're walking along, and you're in a fine restaurant. I was like, wow, I need to get to the Air Force.
Sorry. We're full up.
Yeah, you're full. But I went through that school, got through it, and it was what was really weird. It was I got totally done with the course, okay, and we were in the last, you know, the project room. The last thing you do, you have to do. They'll call you up, and they'll say, this is what's happening. You give us a brief, okay? Well, mine was a SAR mission in the Great Lakes.
Okay.
And I pulled my charts. I ran down to where they told me to go. I set it all up, and the lights were knocked down. Okay, and then 2 people came in, and they sat down there, and they were asking me questions. Okay.
Right.
And I was like, you know, I recognized the voices. Okay, but I didn't know. I couldn't put a face to the voice, you know, because it was dark. And they were, you know, they grilled me really, really hard. And I was going, yeah, you know, giving them every time they would say something, I'd come right back with it with not a problem, because I've been briefing before that for a long time.
Right.
So, and they were, you know, and they go, and all of a sudden I see this smoke come out of a cigar, okay, and I hear, well, Mr. Bosco, I think you're doing pretty good, and I hear, you know, and I'm thinking, that sounds like Commander Schatzel from Jacksonville, you know.
Right.
I said, yeah, but he made Admiral. And I'm thinking to myself, nah, that can't be him. What the heck? It can't be him.
Okay.
And then I hear this other voice, and he says, I think you're doing all right. He says, you've definitely passed. Okay.
Okay.
So I said, okay, and then the lights came up. Well, the first one was the commander on my ship, the Saratoga.
Okay.
Okay, he's now an admiral. Okay.
Right.
And more ranked than the Schatzel was. So he goes, yeah. He says, they said that you were having trouble with this. He says, I guess they don't know nothing about the Navy, do they?
What? Why did they feel like you were having trouble?
Well, you know, Navy has a different way of you know, doing their processing their paperwork and giving their briefs, okay? Because it's a different kind of different kind of environment.
Right.
So when I was doing mine, I would do it, and they said, well, we don't like the way you're doing it, you know? And it was just an Air Force thing to a Navy thing. You know? And I was one of the first classes that went to Chinook, you know, so it was you know, it was just one of those, you know, cultural things.
Got
so
it.
They could figure out what was going on. To tell you how cultural it was, I had on our jackets, I have, you know, we had the crow with the 3 stripes for the first class.
Right.
And I would go down, and all the officers would be saluting me.
Wow. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I mean, they
Thought it was a bird.
Yeah, they thought
It was a bird.
Yeah, it was a bird, but not the
Not an eagle.
Yeah,
Was not an
listed.
eagle. Okay, gotcha.
So everybody would salute us, and it was like we sit there and turn around like, what the heck is this? You
Right.
know? But we you know, that was just like I said, it was the first time they seen Navy on an Air Force base, and the Air Force base teaching Navy people on how to forecast, you know, and it was just different, you know.
Gotcha.
So
what was next?
after that, I went back to Pensacola, and I got on the severe weather desk. That's where you know, all the hurricanes when they come in.
Right.
I was responsible for making sure that the admiral for the base and the captain of the base were briefed on what was happening for severe weather when they came in.
Okay.
And I would do that because like I said, I was on the severe weather desk. And
How many years had you been in by now?
Probably, let's see, that would have been probably 14 to 16.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
So what was next? What was the next duty station?
Well, I was there until my last 4 years.
Okay.
And what happened was they were scaling down the Navy and all the, I don't know if you remember that, but they were scaling back everything.
What year was it?
It was like 86.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and they were taking, if you didn't go up in rank, you were gone. Okay.
Right.
Well, our rating was frozen. Okay. Nobody made chief. Nobody made master chief or senior chief. So I couldn't make chief, and I knew I was getting close. So I told him, I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I said, I told my boss there, the lieutenant who was in charge, I told him, I said, I want to go to a ship. I said, my last 4, I want a ship. Anywhere that goes to the Mediterranean, because I want to have a good last 4 years.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And they looked at me to go, oh, nah, you're crazy. I said, no, I ain't crazy. I said, I got one more enlistment with a guaranteed base, okay? And I said, and I want to go to a ship. And then the admiral, he literally came down there and he says, Paul, I can keep you here for 4 years.
Right.
And I said, sir, I joined the Navy to see the world, not to sit here. Yeah. And he looks at me, he looked at me, he said, man, he said, that's a hard one.
Couldn't argue with that,
Yeah,
huh?
couldn't argue with me. He says, okay. He says, I gotta let you go. He said, I don't want to.
Right.
He says, I want you here.
Right.
I said, well, sir, I says, I want a ship. And I want to go back to the Mediterranean because I had such a great time there.
Yeah.
And he says, well, what about a ship out of Norfolk? I says, I don't care. I said, it could be a tin can. It could be anything. I said, it could be a rowboat. I want to go back there. You know. He goes, done. So I ended up on the USS Iwo Jima. It was a landing helicopter platform. It was the first ship that was built to that. It was LPH-2. It was this. When it was first built, they pushed it out and it sank. They pulled it back in. Okay. They did all the repairs, and then they changed the number on it to 2. So that's how old this one was. It was back. It was like 50s or something. Okay. And but it looked like a small aircraft carrier. Right. Because it was for helicopters, helos, that kind of thing. Or not helos, but God, I can't think what the things. Harriers. The Harriers. Right. So it did that's what was on board there. Okay. So I was a senior weather. I was in charge of the weather office basically again. Right. And that's what I did. I did forecasts and briefed the Brady rooms and briefed the captain, the admiral, and the generals on board. Okay, so where did you go while you were on that ship? Oh wow, we went all over the place. We hit all the ports in Spain. We hit all the we did a stuff in the Gibraltar. We went to Marseille. We went to all the different French ports, and because it was a round bottom boat, they could get into a lot more ports than the aircraft carrier. Oh, okay. So we would go in, we could hit every more ports than the other one, and I think I hit every single port that was in the Mediterranean. Really? Yeah, it was really nice. Countries, every country. Every country. Okay. Yeah. Right. And lots of islands. Okay, so now you drawing down on your final days. Yeah. And so what were you thinking about doing? Were you thinking about what were you thinking about? I was thinking about retiring. Oh, okay. I had such a great time on board. I got what I wanted, basically. Okay. And then when it was actually, I'll tell you what to me, I was working so hard that I just, it was like all of a sudden they're saying, we're gonna retire you, okay? Right. And I was like, what? He says, yeah. Well, he says it's going to be like about 6 months, about 6 months. He says we're processing all the paperwork. He says, and you're going to be retired. I said, okay. It's just weird that because I didn't even think of it. Right. So when it was like, okay, what am I going to do? Right. And I figured, well, I got a pension, okay, because I had 20 years in it. Yeah. I says, and I can, I was married to somebody else at that time, and they lived in Long Island. So I said, I'll go to Long Island. In New York? Yeah, New York, Long Island, New York. And I went there, and as soon as I got there, people were asking me, hey, do you want to work for me? Do you want to work for me? Right. Yeah. I said, well, when I get out, we'll talk about it. I said, but I need some vacation when I get out. Yeah. Okay. Well, before I got out, okay, that's when the Gulf War started, when Kuwait got hit. Okay. With Iran, and we were tasked to go there. So they kept me on board because basically because I knew that area very well. Right. Okay. So they said, no, we're going to keep you aboard until we get everybody over there. And he says, until we don't need you anymore. Right. Okay? And then we'll retire you off the ship. I said, okay. Okay. So that's what we did. So I went to the Persian Gulf. And we started in, let's see, August, yeah, August, loading stuff in.
What year was that?
That was 90, and we started loading all the, you know, my job at that time was the Tactical Environmental Support Forecaster is what it was called.
Right.
So anything that was on the ship that needed to be taken off, I mean, you don't need, like parkas and tons of blankets and all that kind of stuff to go to the Persian Gulf.
Right.
Okay, so we had to revamp all the stuff that was in the stores, take all the old stuff out, put all new stuff in.
Uh-huh.
All new charting, all new charts and everything.
Where did you do that at?
Huh?
Where did you make
On board
this?
ship. On the board ship.
But where were you at when you made?
Norfolk.
Oh, you're still in Virginia. Okay.
Yeah, still in Virginia.
Right.
All that had to be done before we even got going.
Right.
And that was basically what I had to do to
Uh-huh.
get everything, you know, in order. And once I got that all done, then by that time we were getting ready to pick up our contingents to go over there.
Okay.
And we had to pick up the Marines and their squadrons and their, you know, we had the what do you call it, I can't think what you call them, the guys that go in first, okay, and you know,
First responders.
well, not responders. They're the guys with the weapons. They sneak in and do their thing. You know?
Okay.
Okay. We had them all.
Well, they were SEALs, or were they Navy SEALs?
SEALs. We had the SEALs aboard. We had what do you call it? We had some Army. We had Air Force. All those guys.
Really?
They were all aboard that ship. You know.
Special Forces.
That's it. There you go.
There you go.
That's what it's called.
Got it.
And we had all those guys on board. So we had to take them over first and drop them off. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And on the way, it was kind of hairy because we had to go down the Suez Canal.
Uh-huh.
And down the Suez Canal, we were going down there, and then we were told that there were Scud missiles with possibilities of what do you call it? Germ warfare and all these other things that they could
Chemical warfare. Okay.
Everything.
Nice.
So we had to work on all these. We had to go to general quarters to figure out what we were going to do.
Uh-huh.
You know, in case that happened. So
Right.
we had different scenarios, and we had to play them out while we were going down Suez Canal.
Right.
Okay, and you'd be going down there, and every once in a while you hear ding,
What
ding.
was that?
It was somebody shooting from over the top of the hills of certain areas of the.
Oh, what a sound, huh?
Yeah.
Casualties? Any casualties?
Not then. No.
When?
Actually, it was much before that. What happened? We went out on a training. You know, and this was probably about 2 years after I was on there.
Uh-huh.
We went out for a training, and as we were going on out, the second class that was in my office, because I was up all night doing all the forecasts and putting everything together,
Right.
you know, for the ship to leave. And he came in, and the schedule was I was supposed to work that day too, okay?
Uh-huh.
And he said, no. He says, I'll take the watch, taking it on out. He says, come back tonight. He says, and then you take back over, and then that way two of us can just keep shifting back and forth.
Right.
I said, okay. So I went back down. I got off. I went back down to my rack and went to sleep.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden we had general quarters, and I was like, "What the hell's that?" You know, I didn't know what was going on. I got up, went up to the weather office to find out what was happening, and what happened was, the ship went on out, and they had a target. They were a target plane that they were pulling.
Right.
Well, they were using they call it phalanx. Okay, it was like it looks like an R2D2 with the 5 cannons, you know, the cannons on it.
Gotcha.
Okay, and it's radar control. Well, one of the ships that was up in front of us,
Uh-huh.
okay, the plane was going along on this side,
Right.
and they shot at it, and as they were shooting, the drone came down between the two ships,
Right.
and the person who was supposed to be on the other ship was supposed to do a lockout so that when it only went so far. Well, they didn't do that, and it scraped our ship.
Okay.
And our navigator was out with my second class, okay, out on the catwalk having a smoke, okay, and a bullet came in went around, went through my second class's arm,
Uh-huh.
okay, went out of there and went over and hit the navigator, went up and the bullet lodged in his heart,
Damn.
and he just fell over dead.
Uh-huh.
The second class, we had to, get him down to the sick bay, take care of the injuries, and then, from that time on, I was there. So I was up day and night doing forecasts and doing the day stuff until I got another person in there to, be able to help me. So,
Right.
and that was a really, really hairy time.
Was that the only, I mean,
On that ship, yes, that was the only time we had any problems at all.
okay. Were there other incidences that you were witness to?
The only other thing, I had one guy, he was he was losing it, and he was walking around. We had a big gun that was off the aft end of the ship, okay?
Right.
And our place was here, and the gun was here, and we were looking, and this guy was like walking around. He had a knife in his hand, and he looked like he was, I don't know, he was just, you could tell he had a problem. Okay?
Right.
So we notified the master at arms and told them what we seen, okay? And then they went and they got up on the flight deck and looked down to see what he was doing in the back.
Right.
And they could tell he was really, really in bad shape. I mean,
Agitated?
He was agitated, losing it. I mean, he had a problem.
Okay.
So they were able to get the knife off of him, okay? And then they had to put him in a straitjacket, literally,
Uh-huh.
and give him a shot to calm him down.
Right.
And then they had to get him off the ship.
Uh-huh.
But that was the only two incidents that I seen while I was there.
Okay. All right. So you.
Back to me getting over into the Persian Gulf.
Right.
Okay, we went around into the Persian Gulf. Okay, we went over toward Iran, because they were playing with us. So we went over there and went up and down the front, showing that 25 miles, because they were trying to get more, they wanted to take more of the what do you call it, what they call the international waters.
Right.
Okay, so it's 25 miles off their shore.
Yeah, they were trying to take over more area.
Right.
Right.
And they had their ships out there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and we'd go on out, and then they'd bring them on up to us. Okay, and then the helicopters would lift off and come over and sit there.
Oh, wow.
Let the ship, let their
Okay.
ships, and they would kind of, off they would go,
Uh-huh.
and then it would come back and land again. So, we had to do that a couple times. And then we went on up, and when we got up to a certain place toward the north, we dropped off the Special Forces.
Okay.
And then we went from there to El Jabba, I think is where it was at.
Did all of your guys come back from Special Forces? Were there people that did not return to the ship?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah, because it was, we dropped everybody off.
Right?
We dropped all the gear off, and then we went into Bahrain, and we anchored there.
Uh-huh.
And they said our ship was done. I mean, that was all we had to do.
Okay.
Maybe go out and do like we did with Iran, and just go around to the waters and check. Well, we did go out a couple times and check for mines and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Because they have what they call a sled, and what it is a thing you drag behind you,
Uh-huh.
and you kind of go in like this, and this sled goes around, and if there's mines, it'll activate them. Make them
Okay.
blow up. Well, we did that. There was no mines that blew up that we've seen. So,
Right?
and we did shoot at a few. What do you call it? They threw barrels over the side, and we had to shoot them to sink them. Just for practice, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But that was it. And then when we got back in, I got in there. We were sitting there for a while, and the captain on board tried to get me to, get the admiral to keep me there, okay? Because of I was getting out. I mean, I was 3 months over my 20 years anyhow.
Right.
And he said that, he says, if we make you an officer, he says, do you think because they could make me a butter bar. I mean,
Lieutenant?
an ensign.
Ensign?
Yeah, that's an ensign in the Navy. And he says, if we make you an ensign, would you stay? I says, sure. I says, if you can get me up in rank, I'll do it.
Right.
So he went to the I went to the admiral in charge, and they said, no, we can't because we're not really at war yet.
Oh.
Yeah. So the captain says, no, shit. He says, I tried.
Right.
He said, and he did try for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I told him, I says, well, I says, the only thing left is for me to go to Long Island, New York.
Right.
And he says, damn. He says, I hate to see you leave. He goes.
Yeah. So what'd you do after the service?
I got out. Well, actually, here's what they did for me.
Uh-huh.
They actually had a retirement ceremony on the flight deck.
Okay.
Okay, right there in Bahrain.
Right.
And they had the whole ship's company come up to the top.
Wow.
And they had all the Marines that were on board. They came on out, and they were out there too. And they had a great big retirement ceremony for me.
Nice.
And I was really surprised.
Very nice.
And they gave me the Navy Achievement Medal.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I got that. Then from there, they shipped me off, and I went back to Norfolk.
Uh-huh.
And I got there and went up to Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got there, I guess the first 6 months or so, all I did was just travel around, check the place out, see what was going on.
Right.
You know, I joined. I didn't join. I transferred my membership from the Legion that I was in to the one in Amagansett.
American Legion?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
American Legion. And excuse me. And I worked there. I volunteered there for a while. And let's see what else. Oh, a friend of my wife's at the time had a nephew who had a landscaping business, and he goes to me. He says, "Hey, would you like to work for me?" And I says, "Well," I says, "How's the pay?" He says, "I'll give you $15 an hour." I said, 15?
What year was that?
Huh? This is 90.
Yeah.
Or 91,
Right.
right in there. And I was like, holy smoke, you know, I says, just to rake leaves? He says, yeah. I says, I'm for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how long did you do that?
Huh? Actually, I didn't rake any leaves. I just cut grass. And you had these great big machines you just stood on and just rode around in it.
Right.
And they were out there, they had...
Did you use your GI Bill for anything?
No, I didn't.
No?
No, well...
Buy a home?
No, I take that back.
Right.
Yes, I did. I took electronics.
School?
And I took electrical.
School?
Okay, yeah, schools.
Okay,
That's
cool.
what I used.
Okay, last couple of questions. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Well, as far as war, I think that we should be in a position to help other people that are out there. And right now we need to help ourselves. But as far as war goes, it's not a good thing.
Gotcha.
Okay. If we can do it peacefully, we should do that.
Last question. How did your service and experiences affect your life?
I guess when I first got in, I was just, you know, I didn't know what to do, how to do things. It taught me life experiences. I mean, when I first got out, I was kind of lost because I was so regimented.
Right.
And when I got and as it went on, I could see that everything seemed to be chaos to me.
Okay.
Okay, because everybody was doing whatever the hell they wanted, and everything was crazy. Because I was used to getting up in the morning,
Right.
and now I get up and it's like, what do you do? Okay.
Right.
So I was able to. It took me a little bit to apply what I learned in the military, you know, to how my work ethics on the outside.
Yeah.
You know, and then and how to actually live. It was a culture shock. Is really what it was.
Exactly.
And at the time they didn't really have anything in Long Island to help you out or like they do here.
Right.
You know? So you just you were out there doing whatever you could think to do, and it was hard. It was really hard.
Okay.
And that was in 1990. Now I
Right.
retired, so yeah, actually in December.
Okay.
So.
Is there anything that you feel like you may have left out that you'd like to share?
think I got
Think you
everything.
covered everything?
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you
Oh.
I want to thank you for your service. And I want to thank you for a great interview.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're the what now?
Right now, I am the Grand Conductor, which is the state conductor, which is like a second vice commander.
Uh-huh.
And there's myself. There's the Grand Chef de Tron, and then the state commander, which is the Grand Chef de Gare. I am the third one down for that position.
And what organization is that?
That is the Honor Society of American Veterans, called the 40 and 8.
Uh-huh.
Its real name is in French because it started in World War I.
Right.
It is La Société des 48 Chevaux, which is the Society for the 40 Men and 8 Horses. Because it's so long and it's in French, we call it the 40 and 8.
Okay. Nice. Very nice.
I'm the commander of the VFW
Uh-huh.
4360 in Palm Springs,
Right.
village of Palm Springs.
Uh-huh.
And I'm also the adjutant for American Legion Post 269 in Lantana.
Okay.
So I have those titles, and I work each one of them. Well, I'm a life member of the AMVETS, a life member of DAV, and a life member actually of the VFW. American Legion, I was a past district commander for 3 counties, and then I went to the Southern Area Commander, which was it's like a vice commander for the state of Florida for the American Legion. And I had 54 posts underneath me at that time, and counties, it would have been, 4, 5, 6, 7 counties I was in charge of.
That's in the state of Florida?
In the state of Florida. From Stewart, Okeechobee, all the way south to Key West. That's what my area was. Customer service supervisor, and first a carrier for I guess 8 years. And then from then on, I became the supervisor for customer service for Long Island, United States Postal Service, and then the East Hampton Post Office. I was the customer service there.
In New York?
In New York, Long Island, New York.
Gotcha. And Ms. Perez?
Yeah. I was retired at 60.
Uh-huh.
And I did retire, but I was not ready to stop working. So I came to the VA because I forgot to tell you, in 2003, I almost went to Iraq.
But you didn't?
No,
Okay.
because I got lucky because the following year I was going to be 60.
Uh-huh.
That's my retirement, So 60, you had to be out of the military. So I was not ready to finish working, so I came to the VA to get a job here so I could continue working, And the reason why I had to leave at 60 is because in the reserves you have to be you have to be 60 in order for you to retire. And I was in the reserves and I wasn't ready to retire, so I came to the VA. And the VA, I was still in orders for me to go to Iraq, and I went, and they hired me right away. And I came in as an insurance clerk.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working out on Woodbine, and then they transferred us over here to the hospital. So I worked here for 7 years, and then I retired when I was 67. I didn't know I even could retire already, So when I went to Social Security, they said to me, "Oh, you could have retired since last year."
Right.
A few months ago, so she gave me back pay from the few months ago.
Yeah.
And that's to show you, for an island person, I didn't know much about retirement.
Right.
All I know was work.
That's been a learning experience for all of us, not just you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
we good?
I think so.